Straight from the heart of East Tennessee, this is 10 News at 5.
From updates and opinion on the presidential debates to minute-by-minute reports on breaking stories, social media continued to shape the big headlines of 2012. 2012 certainly proved to be a busy year, and social media took on many different hats. It's been a place of digital debate, of digital journalism, even an organizing force for relief efforts, movements like we're seeing right now, the 26 Acts. And this afternoon, we are taking a look back at those top stories here in East Tennessee and across the nation. Joining us, Rhyne from Ackermann PR to kind of break down, the social media expert there. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And let's talk about the stories that were shaped by social media. I can't think of one that wasn't, but certainly a big one was the presidential debates, where you could watch second by second, comment by comment.
The presidential debates and the entire presidential election campaign, the primaries as well, I think really showed what social media, one of its big roles is now, which is kind of that digital town hall where people were offering their own opinions moment by moment during every presidential primary election, during the debates, and on election night as well. Social media really has taken on that role where this is where people get together and converse either with like-minded people or seek out others to debate with. And
it certainly influenced journalism as well, coverage, because a lot of journalists are on Twitter and they're on Facebook and they're watching what not just their friends are saying, but what the nation is saying.
The digital newsroom was a key story of the year as well, and as you mentioned with the elections, but also even with things like Hurricane Sandy, where Time magazine went to Instagram to get photos to use in their story coverage. You saw that even locally with stories like the Christian Newsom trial, where journalists at just about every outlet were using Twitter to provide live updates, and people were reading those live updates of the trial moment by moment.
Let's talk about some of those breaking stories. We saw the shootings in Aurora, and this is a challenging one for journalists in the effort to be transparent, dissecting what is true and what is not true.
Yeah, what we really see with the breaking news stories like Aurora, like Connecticut this year, it's a chance for the civilian public, the non-journalism public, to really kind of, to borrow a phrase from politics, to see how the sausage is made. The breaking news factor of it all, where the facts are really changing. They're fluid. They're very liquid at the beginning of a crisis like that. And in journalism, the rush to be first really has, it causes some confusion on social media, because there's always that debate of, do we go with what we know or what has been told or what's been confirmed? And sometimes the overriding effort there to be first has caused confusion in that. And people are just having to get used to the fact that news instantaneously has that drawback, that it's not always going to be exactly right the first try. You got to wait for the second or third draft to get there.
Absolutely. We always know that the first reports are almost never right.
Exactly. I think the Aurora story was talking about the shooter being from Tennessee at one point even.
It was. And so it's important to keep that in mind as a viewer who's watching this, not just on our air, but also viewing it on social media. That
exactly. Verify the source. How trusted is the source you're getting this from? Nowhere do we see that even more so than in the coaching search at UT this year, where every rumor became a news story, it seemed like, because either the people were spreading it or the media were picking it up and running with the rumors as well, and it just became a snowball effect throughout the entire situation.
Let's turn to a story that drew a lot of people together across the country, and that was the London Olympics. And while it was a terrific time to share thoughts about athletes and performances and really feel great about what was happening for Americans in that arena, it was also a challenge if you didn't want to know the answers. Who won?
In the old days of the Olympics, 4 years ago, the tape delay didn't cause that much consternation amongst fans, because social media really hadn't come into the playing so much of that. People knew they could cover their ears in the radio reports and wait to watch the news that night or watch the events that night. Social media changed all that, where you had instant access, digital access. You had channels that NBC was making available. You could go watch online and know in advance what was going to happen. And it was interesting to watch that debate back and forth. I think in the end, what we'll see by the time we get to Brazil in 4 years is that the fans will be used to this idea that we'll see more of the watching live online and being okay with knowing the answers before you tune on at night.
And let's look ahead. What do you see is next? Given what we've seen, it really feels like an evolution just in the past 12 to 24 months of social media. What do you see coming down the pike as far as how we'll communicate and stay in touch?
Well, I think the big answer there is going to be mobile. We're going to see more and more tablet and phone-based online communication. The day of the desktop and the laptop, they're not going to become completely extinct, but our primary source of accessing through social media, through any digital media, is going to be through those tablets we got at Christmas, through our smartphones as well, and that will affect things like how we get our news, how we consume our news. We're already seeing that happen. Like you said, it's been a really quick evolution. They will continue to see quick evolutions like that. By the time we roll around to this story next December, it'll be amazing what we'll have seen change.
Yeah, you talk about what's on the cusp, and I know some people can't imagine life without Twitter or life without Facebook. How did we get along without that? Do you think that the technology is moving fast enough that we could be saying that about something next December?
Oh, I think so. I mean, we weren't talking about tablets that real seriously 18 months ago. You know, it was a novel idea, but look where we are now. I mean, everybody, my 10-year-old nephew got one for Christmas. Everybody is using tablets now. We're going to see that technology change. We're going to see, as we move forward, how these social media is going to try to make money, how they're going to become money-making enterprises, and they'll be introducing new tools to help them do that, things that we probably haven't even seen or contemplated yet that they're working on in their, research and development departments that'll come along that will, at the end of the year, maybe say, how do we ever get on without this?
Shane Rhyne, thanks very much for your perspective.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Ackermann PR. Coming up next, we're going to have a conversation about smoking and how technology